who do you think has been the breakout singer of the decade?
So the combination of Preetham, Amitabh, Arijit Singh, and Amit Trivedi. Female singers, of course, there's Shreya Ghoshal, there is Janita Gandhi, Sasha Trivedi, and of course there's Mohit, who's in and out, who comes in, who's a vagabond, and I love him.
If a normal person walks up to you and asks you, where does A.R. Rahman listen to people's music?
Today, music is coming on many things, no? In fact, I think music is consumed much more than before. And of course, most of them has been watched rather than listened to,
right,
unfortunately. So...
Sir, 99 Songs is you turning into a producer and also a writer. But how difficult was it to write songs, write a script, get the entire film together?
Instead of going to a university, you just take a movie, you study everything. You study. After 40 years of being a musician, life teaches you much more.
Right.
You study stories because you've traveled the world. And so my idea of bringing what little things I've learned all the world into one kind of a art form, which is the movie 99 Songs.
Would you rather wait for the lockdown to be lifted so that it can get a theatrical release, or would you be, keen on releasing it on OTT platforms?
Actually, we are keen on theaters, and because it's a cinematic experience, the movie itself. Jio is distributing it and they are taking care of it. And so we spoke about it a couple of months back. And because it's about sound and atmos and so many things, which not everybody would have that facility at home, and most of them watch on mobile phone or a laptop. So we are willing to wait. It needs time because it's a non-starrer. The hero, Ihan Bhatt, is a new person. He's very charming, but they need time to penetrate. And so I thought this time of, the trailer and the music living for months is a good thing.
All the albums that you composed in the new millennium, is there any particular album that is the closest album to your heart?
Even though we put the same energy in everything, but there are different elements coming together, and these elements make it special. For instance, what I do with Mr. Mani Ratnam, when we take Imtiaz Ali or Rakesh Mehra or Ashutosh Kawarikar or Shankar, they all have their inputs. In the album Dil Bechara, there's a lot of freedom, which Mukesh Shabra had given to us. And he said, I need a song here. Some of the songs we actually composed seeing the movie, like Afrida. Because when you go to Paris, you see a lot of subculture. Usually if you show Paris, you should, you go into that cliche. So I said, why don't we go to the subculture and mix both together and see how it looks, and to bring the joy out in a very different way.
What is the biggest difference you feel between the A.R. Rahman of the 90s and the A.R. Rahman of 2020?
I don't have any difference. It's the same challenging. If you mess up, you fall. You fall so big that you can't get up. The good and the blessing and the curse, I would say, is every decade, there's a generation. So there's a decade of 90s has a generation which is latching onto the 90s music. A decade of 2000 to 2010, there's another generation. And now this new decade, which just finished. So there's a whole lot of new people have come in. And I've also I've become a writer and a producer and a VR sensory cinematic filmmaker in that zone. So many things I've grown. I think I've tried to be a better dad in this past 10 years. And also learning things which I should be learning, which I never had time before. And so many things which I need in my old age. And so this affinity with each decade, which people have, is sometimes a disadvantage because they're constantly comparing. Oh, you have to do something more like 90s. You have to do something like Rockstar. You have to do. But I always feel that I'm not doing it for them. I'm doing it for myself. I do what my conscience says, and that's when things have worked. If I try to satisfy somebody else, then it'll be a never-ending story, and it'll lead to mediocrity because you're replicating something which has already been done.
What about Ae Dil Hai Mushkil's music really appeal to you?
There's a combination of Amitabh Bhattacharya, and there's a combination of Arijit and Preetham, all of them. So there is a sound which they created together, and I think Karan Johar And I was telling Amitabh about that. This is a very remind me in your prayers. It's a beautiful thought, and so when you use what which comes from tradition, and when you mix something with a beautiful tune, so it has much more value. And I feel that song kind of nailed it in that way. Dua mein yaad rakhna.
Whenever you see a story of a musician pan out on screen, does it become a little extra special?
Yes, but there are different angles to it. I didn't watch Ye Dil Hai Mushkil, unfortunately. I've not watched the movie. In a society where there's a stigma still attached to being a musician, when people say, what does your son do? And the parents take pride, at least the previous generation, this generation, I don't know, it's evolving. So they say that, oh, my son is a doctor. And they say, oh, my son is a musician. What musician? How does he earn money? Does he play light music or... Right. And they get more concerned about somebody else's son or daughter. It is actually, in a way, searching for a credibility of a profession which serves, billions of people. Unless you become really top and you have a name, and so you become Rolling Stones or you become whatever. So for me, most of the stories are sad ones where they, unintentionally make a story about a guy who's a loser in the end. So whether you take, I'm talking about A Star Is Born, Inside Llewyn Davis. Every classic movie is about a musician dying in the road and finally end without penniless and being kicked out. I've told this before, but I have to tell this again. So there is a cliche in it. And that's one of the reasons why I took 99 songs. It's about life is much more than, searching for food or searching for money. It's much more, it's a mind game within a person who you can get humiliated in the mind where you feel like, oh, I'm not able to come up with a tune. I'm not able to come up with something which is creatively, up there in a higher plane. So am I becoming something like that? So that is the conflict which I wanted to show in 99. So when you guys see the movie, you'll understand what I'm trying to say. So the intention of taking 99 songs was that. So okay. This movie I've not seen, so I can't comment, sorry.
How has the lockdown been for you?
They say that the mind needs rest also, like how a body needs rest. So the first 2-3 months was just eating and sleeping and not thinking about anything, because anyway, the whole world is like resting. And then, of course, we had this announcement about, even before Sushant passed away, that it's coming on OTT. So I called my team and said, let's remix and let's look into it now, how the sound. So we went back to some of the songs, we remixed some of the songs. And it's unfortunate that never talk to each other, unfortunately, because there's no opportunity for that. Even if you go to an award thing, there's always a mix or something has to be done. So you get it and you run away. You don't hang out in a party. I'm not a social person. And most of the composers are introverts, I think it's been like that. And things can change now, because I think if something higher is attempted, then we can all join together and do something.
Sir, let's talk about the talent that you have discovered. Sir, how do you go about discovering these artists?
I had the entitlement and power to take anybody and use them, because I was doing all the mainstream movies. Good thing is, from the first movie, people started expecting what he's going to do, because the first movie itself set the bar so high. Like all the stuff I wanted to achieve, I kind of achieved in that. New singers and new kind of lyrics and new sound and stereo, quality and production. And then Thirudatara took it to another level, thanks to Mani Ratnam, who helped me, cherish my dream. Constantly, if you don't do it, you fall, because that is the expectation set, and that's what people start expecting. So it's in a good way, I had to be on my toes, and I have to be like, and now I think a lot of people are doing that without having any hesitation. They're like, oh, I have introduced this composer, I have introduced this. But what happened? The reverse has happened now, because you can't take any voice and put on a hero. It doesn't match. For instance, I saw Shah Rukh Khan singing a Punjabi song, and the voice doesn't match. And even with Dil Se, when I sang for Dil Se, I felt like I told Mani sir, like, sir, my voice doesn't match him. I said, don't worry about it. I've not taken it like that. And so these are the concerns which happens now. And certain voices are pleasant and you can listen to it. Certain voices are not, even if they have the chops to sing amazing things. A lot of things have to be ironed out. And that is the role of a composer. That is the role of a producer. And that is teamwork. And where, like, I don't want to name anybody, because you have the power to have a music company or anything. You can't just do whatever you like, because you have the power. There's a sense of social responsibility. There's a sense of, even as a culture, there's a kind of responsibility where we need to take things, like a leader, have to do it like a leader. Leader is not prejudiced by anything. He is for everyone. He is in the interest of everyone. It's not like, oh, I like these people, I'm going to use them. I like these people, I'm going to use them. I don't like that person. Even though it's good, I don't care. I will. So that should not be the way music should be. Music is also a democracy. It has a right. And when you take a decision, I think 5, 10, 11 times saying, this is the right decision I'm making. And so all that stuff helps when a song comes out.
How heavy is going out of the house with the tag of being A.R. Rahman?
Well, I think it's a blessing. It's a blessing. I'm grateful to God. I'm grateful to people who made me this, their love. And there's also so much of negative energy on social media, and people love to slam somebody. People love to mass pouch somebody on digitally. And so you got to be super careful. Emotions are very raw. Nobody thinks twice before posting anything. And it could affect psychologically, it could damage a person's brain and some people, if you're spiritual, you can just take it out and put it out. But if you're not, and if you take everything personally, you're done. And even in Sushant's case, you never know what is that tweet which hurt him, or what is that comment which hurt him, which made him do that. And if a celebrity who's very strong, who's intelligent can do that, imagine about normal people. When you shame them, and when you do the stuff, you'll be held responsible in case you believe in afterlife. You'll be held responsible for that. And are you willing to take that? And so this is the thing which I ask myself. When you put out words, you can never take it back. I don't feel that I'm weak when I'm silent. I feel I'm more stronger, because there is a saying which says that speak a good word or remain silent. Whether it's music or whether it's words, I believe that's a very good saying. Put good music out or just keep quiet. Put a good tweet or keep quiet.
3 people who have remained constant figures are Ranjit Barot, Sivamani, and Clinton. How is that bond with these 3 gentlemen?
So Ranjit is from a previous generation of mine. So I looked up to Ranjit. And even Sivamani looks up to Ranjit Barot. He is such a great musician, and he's world class. And his choice of being in India is actually a gift to us. Everybody respects him. Sivamani, I grew up with him. He's again from the previous generation. When I was a kid, he was a star already. And he would say, yeah, you just need to practice and we should play together. He's doing the same thing to my son now. So he looks young and same energy. We're all getting old. But that man is, God bless him. He's got the same enthusiasm and same helping tendency. You ask him, hey, my keyboard is, now, I'm saying before, I had this big Kurzweil keyboard, and I said, I love this keyboard, but this one key is like giving problem. He said, don't worry, I'll just take it. He took it to New York, repaired it. He didn't charge any, he paid for the luggage. He brought it back and gave it to me. I was like, amazing. I would think twice if somebody gives me a perfume bottle. Like, can you give this to someone? It's like, why is he giving it to me? So that is Sivamani. He is so helpful and such a great human being, even though he's a genius. And you take him to the studio and you just give him a click track and tell him and then he will do magic on it. Constant inspiration. Clinton joined a little late. He was Ranjit Barot's discovery, I think. Extremely talented. Every time I need some extra help in harmonies, hey, Clinton, can you take care of this? So I was doing super heavy, the song Satyameva Jayate, and I was in a place in Hollywood at that time, and I had to finish the song, and I didn't have a studio at that time. So I said, Clinton, can you just get this sorted? And boom, comes like 100 tracks of harmony.
How does an Arijit Singh sound so different on a track that isn't composed by you in comparison to someone else?
I don't know. See, sometimes you compose for the singer. Sometimes you bring in the singer for a composition. So mine is the second. So if you take Khul Ke Jeena here on this, my wife was asking today, who's the singer? I said, Arijit. What? She's saying. And so, because I think there's a certain pattern which they sing, and people get inspired by the pattern and they compose songs like that again and again. But when you take as a composition, when you take a tune and then you when you play it on the piano and when you put lyrics on it, and then you don't think about the consequences. You feel good about those notes. And then when Arijit sang on that, he actually kind of asked the song for the first time, can I have that song? I want to listen to it. So we gave it to him after he sang. So, and it also challenges people who are boxed in one kind of thing to push them and do something else, because that's the way, a good thing for sustenance, because you become versatile. And I remember when I was doing, I did Roja, I kind of determined that I would never do commercial kind of stuff with beats and everything. I would do stuff which I would like, because I was working in the Telugu industry. I was working on beats and all this Bhangra kind of stuff and everything. So, and then comes Shankar and said, I need that. So I had to force my brain to reinvent or find a way to express myself. So I had loads of synth and things, so it'll mask it'll make it special.
So do you ever go back, and revisit the music that you've composed?
No. No, because we all evolve, and that is a trap. So the moment you go there, where people keep saying that, oh, you should do like movies like 90s, you should do a movie like Rockstar, you should do like this. But the moment you do that, they're going to say, oh, it sounds like Rockstar, it sounds like Roja. He's not moved on. So it's a trap which you need to just, I always go back to my first movie. I said, I didn't have any of those in my mind. When I did Roja, I didn't have that sound in my mind at all. I had the technique, I had the musicality, but it all formed seeing the movie and with the inspiration of what Mani Ratnam has done earlier. Those visuals were so inspiring that I wanted to rise to that expectations of people thinking that, oh, these visuals are great. They inspired me to do the sound. So I go back to that clean slate, which I started Roja. It's like I started with clean slate there, so I can do it now. So that is the kind of excuse I'll take for me to, I don't know whether it might work or not, but then I'm going to do the same thing again. I'm going to be in the same state of mind which led my first film. So when people attack your self-esteem, and this happens to everyone, it's good to go back to your basic and say, like, I didn't have anything that time, I did that. So I have everything now, I can do like 10 folds now. So you should take courage, and you go back to that mind zone, you might be able to do something.
I'm naming 5 composers with whom I asked this question, which album is a standout album in the last 10 years. It includes Vishal Dadlani, it includes Shankar Saab, it includes Mithun, it includes even Preetham, and it includes Sachin Jigar. And they said one of the most standout albums and song has been Rockstar for them. When you look back at Rockstar, how do you feel about it?
Rockstar, we started in 2007, I think. I met Imtiaz, and we started with John Abraham. Like, it was his movie, but something happened, and then Imtiaz did his Love Aajkal, I think. And then he came back. So we had loads of material. And then suddenly I said, like, throw all that out, let's do something fresh. So we didn't use any of this material which before. What I liked about Imtiaz was he zones out, and he's not into, I need a hit song, I need this, I need that. He just feels it. Oh, this is the song. But I was very concerned that we need tracks which are hits, like catchy, and like Sadda Haq, and what is the other track? Yeah, so
I'll tell you the entire playlist. Sadda Haq, Tum Ho, Phir Se Ud Chala, Nadan Parinde, Aur Ho, The Dichotomy of Fame, every song, sir.
Yeah. So I think Nadan Parinde came because I've told this before. There was a very complicated tune which Imtiaz liked, and so I went to Kashmir. We went to Kashmir to finish that track, which was for the place of Nadan Parinde. Then I asked him, like, what did you play the music to everyone? Did people like it? No, our people like it, sir. Why are you asking this? No, but did anybody give anything negative? Because I suddenly got a doubt, because we're going into a zoned out thing. So he said, Ranbir Star didn't like any of the songs. I said, why? He says, I don't know what, I can't understand this stuff, what is happening, some rock guitar and all that. So I said, oh, wow, that's a great feedback. And I said, okay, let's drop the song we're trying to do now in Kashmir. and I think I know what is missing. And then Nathan Parinde came in. I wanted something which is very catchy and simpler, but yet giving that whole rock star feel with an emotion. So Nathan Parinde came because of Rishi Kapoor Saab. His comment on the music actually made me do something more simpler.
Wow. Nobody would have ever imagined that that's the story behind Nathan Parinde.
He actually gave an anonymous. Yeah, but then his I think it's good. It's good to have feedback like that. And when you do a movie, also we do screenings to people and say, what do you think? What do you like? What do you like? And everybody says something very similar, like I don't like something, then that's the problem. Everybody says different things, then you don't have to worry. But this, I had this feeling that something is missing, and then that's what I wanted to hear came from his mouth. So I already had that feeling, and it came from his mouth. I said, okay, yeah, that's it.
Tamasha was such a brilliant album, but I'll ask you, sir, which song do you think has stayed in the listener's mind even today?
Tum Saath Ho, right?
Absolutely.
Again, there's a big story on it. He was courageous and so bold, Imtiaz, to do that movie. It's something which is phenomenal. I think the movie is going to stay forever because it's that question which everybody asks. Like, what have you become? What did you want to become and what have you become? Is a question we're going to all ask when you're 50 or 40 or 30. Because sometimes life, you have some dream, but you're forced to take another life. And then you're older already. And it's such a brilliant script. And I knew that it's going to be dark. I knew that it's a gamble. But it happened, which is great. Because it's a movie which is going to remain. And that character, Ranveer's character is like... I was actually stunned when I listened to it. I told him that it's a bit dark and you had to make it a little more lighter. Was my only comment. And so that song had to be super simple. And because the second half was so complicated, I wanted something very simple. So I had done a song, a shot, a lip sync, everything, and half lip sync. And I think I told the story also before. And I said, I think the music has let down the song. He said, no, everybody loves it. I love it. No, I'll tell you why. Because it has to go against your complex screenplay in the second half because it has to be simple. It has to be just, I'll lean on you, which is so simple. And so I gave him another tune, which is like almost like a Tumri. And he liked it. I said, no, still it's not right. And then this one. So I said, can you give me a simple line? So Irshad Saab gave me Tum Saath Ho. And I said, this is it. I'll try to make it. So I made 2 tunes and I liked one of it and then I gave it to him and I said, yeah, this is it. And so they recut it to this thing. So there's a story behind it. It was a complex song for me to do in that because to make it simple, it was complex.
My. To make a simple song becomes a complex art and that is what...
Okay, now next story is a casting. Next story is, as a producer, composer, like you should give something new to people. And I was seeing that, we overuse somebody and kill them, and we feel that that's the end of them. They can't even come back, which is not big. Like, you look at Andrea Bocelli, the more he sings, the more you love him. Like, and there is an audience for that ever. But unfortunately, there's a trend of killing people, overusing them, killing them. I heard the song, and there was a track which is sung, and I heard this voice is tinny for this song. I think we need somebody epic like Lataji or Alka Ji coming in, because I said, I'm going to take this risk. I recorded Alka Ji and send it to... Unfortunately, what happened, my assistant sent it without processing and everything. So he freaked out and he said, what have you done, sir? I said, what happened? And I said, no, you shouldn't have listened to it before processing, He was hesitant to say that something's wrong. So I kind of understood. And I said, I will take the risk. Trust me. And something like that. And then it released and people freaked out. And so that's the story. Sometimes you have to take a risk. Sometimes you have to have so much of conviction that you need to help the director in saying that it's going to work. I never said, 3-4 times in my life I've done that. I think the tune of Muqabla is one time I said, it's going to work, don't worry.
So sorry, you are telling me that Shankar had doubts that Muqabla will work or not?
Yeah, because, I didn't have the head before. It was ta-ra-ra-ra-ra-ra, that one. And we didn't have the head. So after working, I said like, no, the head is missing. So I went up with the tape recorder. It's like, no, that whole thing came.
Right.
They put that. And then next one was in the song from Shivaji, I think it was Sahana. I had to speak 1 hour to Shankar Saab that, the song will work, please. 1 hour from London. I remember I was in Regent's Park in Shekhar's friend's house, Mohan Chopra. And he called me like, I don't think the song is working. I said, this song will work, please. And trust me, people need melodies. And because I think he takes such a big gamble of doing big movies that he's always very careful about how he selects the songs.
Right.
And then third one, I think, was this.
My God.
The
My God.
voice cutting.
My God.
Usually I said, okay, fine, I'll change.
Thank God you kept it. Because it's one of those timeless classic songs now. This, again, has become a trend now in the movies where film producers and directors, they're not bringing one composer to compose the entire album. It's becoming like an album of, like the cassettes that we used to get recorded from a neighborhood shop. It's like that. So what is your personal take on that?
See, there's a good and bad in this. The good is you're getting new talent. But is everything good enough is a problem. And you are forcing that to people who want something great. If you give greatness through that, yeah, of course. But if you're making it convenient that you're paying less to these people, exploiting them, and you are just forcing that so that you can take the credibility of a composer who can give a whole sound to a movie and who can work hard and give another layer of soul to your movie, then you're doing a mistake. If it's a convenience for you, then tomorrow the same thing can happen with, people can volumetrically capture a hero and they can just place words in his mouth, right? You don't have to, I just bought the rights for his character, so I can do whatever I want with this guy. That's going to happen.
Yes.
That'll be the visual remix of the future where people are captured volumetrically and then you can do anything with the girl or the boy. They can make you dance or jump from the building. No call sheet, no waiting, no, hang-ups and all that stuff. So there is a new world which is being born and we need to chain it properly to have a control thing. Otherwise it's going to become chaos. It's going to become a monster, uncontrollable beast, which, like how the internet has become the curse and a blessing. There are great things in it and also filth in it. And it corrupts the mind and also educates the mind, both. So it's how we use it. It's a tool.
Do we see more of you and your music now in Hindi films, sir?
I don't say no to good movies, but I think there is a gang which I think due to misunderstanding are spreading some false rumors. So when Mukesh Chabra came to me, he said, and I gave him like 4 songs in 2 days. He said, sir, how many people said, don't go. And they told me stories after stories. I said, yeah, okay. Now I understood why I'm doing less and why the good movies are not coming and I'm doing dark movies, because I think there's a whole gang working against it. And without them knowing that they're doing harm, that people are expecting me to do stuff, but there's another gang of people preventing that to happen. It's fine. I always believe in destiny. I believe in every rizq comes from God. So I'm taking my own movie. I'm doing other stuff. But all of you are welcome. You take great, beautiful movies. You're welcome to come and approach. Thank you.